it's Dr. Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and today we're going to talk about doing posterior elastics to fix a posterior open bite, or alternatively, you can do posterior or any type of elastics with aligners specifically to help to extrude a tooth. We call that bootstrap technique. So I'm going to be talking about both today. And this typodont, as you can see here, has upper braces, lower aligners, but I'm going to show you how to punch your own precision cuts in your aligner. So for example, if you're using ClearCorrect or one of these companies that doesn't have precision cuts, you'll have to punch your own in. Now, of course, you can't use a retainer. You need to use an aligner where they actually have the extrusion built in. So maybe it's an aligner that isn't fitting optimally, or it's an aligner that's gone off track. You can use this technique. If you're using Invisalign or white label, some of the white label companies, they can punch these in for you. So you might as well just have it done. It's gonna be so much easier, but I'm just gonna show you. So this plier, a couple places you can buy it. I actually have a video on it on my YouTube, so contact me because I can't remember their names of where to buy it. It's a little bit trickier given the trim. So this is more of a ClearCorrect-y kind of, higher level trim. So it's gonna be a little trickier to punch this in. So keep in mind right now, if I'm looking a little shaky, I'm looking through the lens of the camera to do this. So, but this is, yeah, so that's not bad. So remember, when you are punching this, you want to be able to get the bracket on fully without touching the gums. So you might have to be a little bit more aggressive with these punches. So, oopsies, that was definitely not it. And then if you have attachments on there, you gotta make sure your punch doesn't go near your attachment, because that's not gonna work very well, right? So you can see now we got this kind of sharp areas. So this is also gonna affect your retention. I would take, that's why I'm not a huge fan of doing it yourself, but I mean, you get the idea, right? I'm totally destroying this aligner. So this is actually really satisfying. You might even be able to honestly just do this with a hole puncher too. It's possible. But anyways, you get the idea. Seat it on. Then you're probably, so this one's gonna be good right here. As you can see, I got a nice area to put it on. I'm gonna get my, I need like a hemostat or something to hold this. Let's see. Sorry, got some background music going on my phone. Ignore it. Okay. Phone's going off the hook today. Okay. So you can basically try this on, and it'll definitely center itself. You'll be fine here, at this location. I put it on upside down, but you can see if I move it, you don't want to be right at the edge, but you don't want to be at the gingiva. So this one will be fine. This one will be fine. This one's a bit off center. So I'll probably have to refine these a little bit. So I'm going to play with these a little bit right now. And then I'm going to put some buttons on. And if you wanted to do a bootstrap technique, let's go over that too, for example. So bootstrap technique means that you're going to put a punch on both the buccal and the lingual, okay? And then you're gonna run an elastic over it, probably 1/8 or something like that. So let's say we wanted to bootstrap this tooth. Okay, so now we have a punch on both ends, okay? See them? Both buccal and lingual. You're gonna bond your buttons, buccal and lingual. This is for a tooth you wanna extrude, okay? And then you're probably gonna use like a 1/8 heavy or a 1/8 medium to hook over, would be my guess. Probably 1/8, but we can try in a bunch of sizes and see what works best. It really depends on the shape of the tooth. A really, really teeny tiny elastic. And the patient will have to hook it on quite often. Basically, the patient will have to hook it on. They eat, then they brush their teeth, they floss their teeth, they put their aligner back in, and then they hook the bootstrap on. So this is gonna have to happen 4 or 5 times a day, but it will help to extrude that. So that's another little fun fact. If you wanna really get some oomph into your extrusion, instead of running it. So for example, here we've got braces and aligners. Let's say we had nothing. Let's say we had an upper denture or something and we couldn't hook elastics to the maxillary arch. We could bootstrap all the teeth we needed to extrude. you know, buccal and lingual, just in that on those teeth that are there. So, all right, hang in there. I'm gonna go ahead and get my buttons on, and I'll be back with part 2 of this series. Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and we're here today with part 2 of our video about putting buttons on the back teeth to help to settle a posterior open bite, or the bootstrap technique to help to seat a tooth that needs to extrude if the attachment isn't working. So we'll be talking about both. Make sure you watch the first half of our video first for context. Anyways, so I've gone ahead and I've bonded buttons on my Typodont. As you can see in the earlier video, I showed you how to cut the precision cuts. If you're using Invisalign or Global, they'll do it for you. You just got to tell them that you got to do it. Remember, buttons come in all different shapes and bases. I personally like the metal ones. I think they stick way better. Invisalign ceramic ones are decent. Ceramic's going to be a lot more expensive than metal. These are some very petite buttons, so it really depends on the size of your teeth. You really should have a variety of different buttons, but these stick pretty well. They're just regular lingual buttons with a mesh base, pretty inexpensive and easier to get off and to debond. So I would have, there's some ones with square bases, rectangular bases, round bases. These are very petite. Part of the thing you have to think about when you're thinking about buttons is you want to think about the lip, and is it going to be able to hold the type of elastic that you need? The thicker your elastic, and watch my video about the different diameters of elastics and different strengths and how that's different, but depends on what type of elastic you need. Some types of elastics may not fit on such a petite, low profile button, because it may come off. So you're gonna have to try different things. Remember, with elastics, you wanna try to get the smallest diameter elastic that will the patient can comfortably get on and off. It should feel tight, but it shouldn't be breaking off the button, right? So if you use something too strong, it's gonna break the button, or if you use something too thick, it's not going to hook on the lip. So you have to kind of try it in. Now this is 3/16, it's kind of lighty medium, 3.5 ounce, I'd call it lighty medium. Not really my first choice, but it's the best one that I had in my armamentarium. Ideally, probably for this, for bootstrap, I'd probably use 1/8 medium or 1/8 heavy. I don't have that right now. It isn't something I use very often. So I'm just showing you what it would look like. But let's go over the bootstrap first. So remember, bootstrap is when you put a button on the buccal and the lingual, okay? And you're gonna run the elastic over, and you can see how this, can you see how this is like not fully seated? Can you see that? Can you see that the daylight? Now you can see it, right? Behind tooth number 31, lower right 7. So we want to go ahead and extrude that tooth a little bit more. So we're gonna go ahead and run the elastic over. We call that bootstrap. I don't know why. Maybe boots have straps like that. And if you need it to be a little tighter, you can put a twist in it, which is what I just did. A little bit trickier for the patient. They're not going to have a plier like this. You can use an elastic hook. I definitely have videos on how to use elastic hooks. It's probably the best thing to give them. Let me see if I have one here. I'm looking around. I always have elastic hooks. And of course, when I want to find them, I can't use it. But yeah, you can put a twist in it, almost like a figure 8. And that will make it tighter. So it's pretty tight, but ideally I'd probably have it a 1/8, and I think it would be better. So this was 3/16 lighty medium, and I probably would want to have 1/8, but that will work for bootstrap, right? So it's going to seat that a little bit down a little bit more. Now, what if I wanted to do vertical elastics to help with extrusion from top to bottom? That's another option. If you don't have braces up top, you'd have to do the same thing with the aligners up top. That will also work. So I'm just showing you, just because this is the Typodont that I had, and I already had braces on top. So just showing you what I would do. Remember, sometimes these buttons are going to break, especially if the patient's going to yawn or like laugh. So you got to realize when you put these on, you're going to most likely have to rebond them sometimes. And this one, again, remember this, you want the smallest diameter elastic that's tight, the patient can comfortably put on. This is a little too slack. I feel it. It's too slack, okay? You can see, you know, they can talk. So sometimes I do one elastic for daytime, like a 3/16, and a 1/8 for nighttime, so it's tighter. But I think this is a little bit too sloppy here. But yeah, you go ahead and every patient is going to be different. It's going to depend on the size of the teeth, the crown height. We already bootstrapped that one, so we don't need to do that one. Oh, I don't have hooks on these, so that's not going to be possible, but we'll do this one. So you'd have to put Kobe's on if you did that. Sorry, it's really hard to look through the lens of the camera and do this. It's probably easier to start with the, probably easier to start with the button on the bottom and move your way toward the top. Okay. But anyways, you get the idea, okay? Vertical elastics, all kinds of vertical elastics, as tight as possible so that the patient can talk a little bit during the day and even tighter at nighttime. You're gonna want, this is gonna go really rapid, so you're gonna wanna check them like, I would say every 2 to 3 weeks in your office. If you can do virtual check-ins through one of these virtual check-in processes, that would be even better. Another option is to do like a box elastic right here. You could do that too if you wanted to. Let's try that. Go like that. That might work good. See that? A box would work there. Lots of options, okay? The main thing is that you want to just get them all socked in so that everything extrudes nicely and you get a nice posterior bite. And this is really similar to what we do in braces. We do something called Z-elastics, same idea. So we do that all the time, where we're just trying to sock in their bite to get a better occlusion at the end. Whether you're gonna use triangles or whatever you're gonna do like this, see? But it's a tricky time and the patient has to wear them all the time. If they're not committed to wearing them all the time, then I recommend not going the elastic route and instead just doing attachments and taking it slower. It will take probably 2 or 3 times as much time to do the attachments. So the benefit of the elastics is it's gonna go a lot faster, but it's only gonna work if the patient wears them 22 hours a day. If not, it's gonna not work at all. And most often, depending on the size of the crowns, you can't have both the precision cut and the attachment. There's no space for it. If you have gigantoid molars, maybe, but for most patients, you cannot. So you have to pick a pathway. So it's one of those, don't make an assumption for your patient. It's one of those things you'll want to talk to your patient, explain what the options are, right? So we can say, we can do bootstraps or we can do elastics, vertical elastics with precision cuts, but it's going to go faster, but they have to wear it 22 hours a day. You need to explain to them, if they wear it 16 hours a day, this isn't going to work at all. They're going to have to come back, get the attachments, get the buttons off, get the glue off, get rescanned, and takes another few weeks to get the attachments put back on, if not a month. So they're gonna lose a lot of time. So you want to explain to them, and there's some people that are super compliant and will do whatever they need to do to get things done. However, I find more often they are very compliant and they're excited about it, but when it comes to the reality, they don't wear it, you know? And then it's gonna waste your time, it's gonna waste your money, it's gonna waste the patient's time, it's gonna waste, the patient's not paying anymore probably. But you want to be really realistic and make sure your patient is picking the right path, which means you're explaining the risks, benefits, and alternatives of each pathway. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks so much.